里面的橱柜都东倒西歪了，脚踏车我都快通通倒了啦。
All right, shifting our focus to the other big story. Overnight, China led several nations in unveiling new climate pledges, announcing its first ever commitment to reduce emissions by 7 to 10% by 2035. President Xi Jinping revealed the target at a climate leader summit, stating the following.
Let me take this opportunity to announce China's new NDCs as follows. China will, by 2035, reduce economy-wide net greenhouse gas emissions by 7% to 10% from peak levels, striving to do better.
The move came with the veiled rebuke of America, which President Xi Jinping suggested were going against the trend by retreating from global climate agreements, referencing U.S. President Donald Trump's anti-climate speech at the UNGA General Debate.
Then they said global warming will kill the world, but then it started getting cooler, so now they could just call it climate change, because that way they can't miss. It's climate change, because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion. Climate change, no matter what happens, you're involved in that. No more global warming, no more global cooling. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people that have cost their countries fortunes and given those same countries no chance for success. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign.
The new pledges come ahead of the COP30 summit in Brazil, where world leaders are expected to present more ambitious targets. There have been countries within the global south, including India and China, the countries with the biggest populations across the world, that have pledged to reduce their carbon emissions by 2035. This is in direct contrast to the United States of America, that under US President Donald Trump refuses to act on measures that need to be taken to contain global warming. Desmond Majekodumni joins me on the telecast. Desmond, a response from you with regards to the very constructive role that China and other countries in global south are taking to reduce carbon emissions. The big announcement made by Xi Jinping at this UNGA press conference, that video conference that he was holding with the member nations, talking about how it is going to be reducing its carbon emissions by 7 to 10% by 2035. Why do you think the US administration is not moving in the positive direction when we talk about cutting carbon emissions?
Yes, well, the reality is that they have unfortunately got themselves very, very embedded in what we can call the overt capitalism system. And, you know, whilst one does, at least I personally do feel that the capitalist system, it does drive competition, and competition tends to drive better services, better facilities. But if that particular system is unbridled and not sort of tempered by a basic compassion, then it becomes out of hand, out of control. And the profit margin becomes the ultimate gain, the ultimate goal, no matter what the expenses, no matter what the costs are. And whilst obviously, you know, making profit from your business investment is very viable and very necessary, You cannot sacrifice the common good, let alone the life of people, women and children especially, at the cost of profit. And the reason why he is making this kind of declarations is because he sees that in order to transit to the clean systems, to the lower carbon footprint systems, it is going to affect the profit margin of certain very, very, very powerful and very big organizations. And so this is something that has come about. However, the good news is that a lot of the American public are beginning to pick up on the reality that climate change is very real.
Right.
Remember what happened? Yeah, just on a brief moment. Remember what happened on the 4th of July? 2 disasters in America on their Independence Day. One in Texas, 140 people died because of a massive flood, and a lightning bolt struck a place in the Arizona desert that is still burning till today. It's almost been extinguished. So that was a sign that, you know, the American people, who are the largest contributor of the CO2, should wake up to the realities of the necessity to care for nature.
Absolutely. And talking about the incentives that have been cut down drastically by the Trump administration in his second term when it comes to clean energy, green energy, he's also been combative in criticizing wind energy, calling it a scam. How do you think European Union, you know, he was speaking to Ursula von der Leyen just a few months ago and speaking about wind energy, and does not really contribute to ensuring that the environment is safeguarded and environment is secure from carbon emissions. How do you think, you know, the world's push for a cleaner, better world, which is also the United Nations agenda at the UNGA that is ongoing, going to be fulfilled if the world's most powerful economy is not backing this initiative?
Excellent question. Great initiative. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you see, the silver lining on this very, very dark cloud, and because of organizations like yours, which is able to link up the whole world, and we're getting a lot of young people now tuned into the reality of the situation, that climate change is actually the biggest problem humanity has ever faced. This is certified by the vast majority of scientists. So the reality is that we're going to come together. We're already coming together and demanding. And a lot of our systems, whilst not very pure democracies, do have the reality of the masses. You know, the voices of the people are beginning to resonate, and they need to resonate a lot more, a lot stronger. And when enough people...
Right. Absolutely. Desmond, thank you very, very much for joining us on the telecast and